Hey everyone, welcome to Cuberviews episode 8. This is your host, Ian Braverman. I hope you're having a great day. Today I am joined by a really fun guest, Brandon Charron. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear. And yeah, I've known you for a long time. You're the brother of Eric, who is the game store owner of Games IRL, the store that we cube at every week. Like I say
Yep.
every week, if you're in the area, Games IRL, Avon, Connecticut, come join us. We're always looking for more cubers. So I've known you for, I don't know, 10 plus years at this point.
Oh
So
yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's been just about that. Yeah.
yeah, we've been cubing for that long, playing Super Smash Bros. Melee for that long.
Yep.
It's been great getting to know you, and I'm excited to talk about Cube today.
Yeah. I was exposed to Cube probably around that same time, maybe 12 years ago or so with my brother's Cube. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, wow, you can turn Magic the Gathering, which is a game that I already played and loved, into basically a board game and customize it in any way that you want. And I just thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. And so tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your history with Magic more, and also what you do outside of Magic, some of your other hobbies and work.
So I was always interested in like card games, strategy games, stuff like that. I played a lot of Pokemon TCG, collected and played since I was probably six. And then I was exposed to Magic again through my brother, but I never really was serious about wanting to learn how to play until I will always remember my first experience playing Magic was I went on a trip. This had to have been fifth grade. My brother kind of convinced my parents, like, oh, I'm going to get Brandon this Magic like starter set. It was a 10th edition, like two-player set, which was celebrating Magic's what, 15th anniversary? Wow, how time flies. Yeah, so that was, I remember the topper on that was Kamal Pit Fighter,
Ooh,
which is a not a great card, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I remember just being entranced by the art, the flavor, the design, how the cards interacted with each other. Like I think there was like a basilisk with death touch or like some similar effect to death touch. And I'm like, that's so cool that it works like that. And like creatures with flying and enchantments and stuff like that. I was hooked. That was it.
yes. And tell us about your outside of Magic, a little bit about yourself.
I enjoy reading and listening to music. Particularly, I read a lot of fantasy. I listen to a lot of jazz and a lot of metal. I am an electrician during the day, and I get to use my brain in creative ways in and outside of work because I have work and I have my hobbies to keep me thinking, problem solving. And that's why I think I attached on the cube so much was it's kind of like keeping a bonsai tree in a way because a cube takes careful pruning. It's something you can over prune also. You can take some of the identity away from it. I enjoy that aspect of it. I think it's a puzzle, it's a board game, it's a way to express yourself through a collectible. This is how I want to play Magic, or this is how I want to, express my creativity to others. And it's a social experience too. So I think that part of it's really cool as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other part of Magic where it can be both a design aspect, it can be a way to get your friends together, it can be a way to be so creative. It's
Yeah.
just, I think it's by far just of anything in Magic, like the most compact. You get every part of the whole experience together. A draft, it's great. And I'm really excited
Yeah.
to talk with you today about your Contrarian Cube. It's a really unique cube. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the basic gist of the design for this cube is I wanted it to be a vintage cube like no other vintage cube, basically. What's like the most monolithic vintage cube there is. And it has to be a Magic Online vintage cube
Absolutely.
because it's the one that people probably draft the most and people emulate the most. So I'm like, oh yeah, you see the same cards over and over again. You see Lightning Bolt, you see Land of War Elves, stuff like that. And you see the power pieces and the dual lands and stuff like that. So I was like, well, what if I don't do any of that?
Yep.
So I took a subtractive standpoint and I said, okay, I'm going to make a vintage cube. I'm going to try to keep it as powerful as I can without using any of the cards in the Magic Online Vintage Cube.
Thus the
I'm a
Contrarian Cube.
Yeah, I'm a contrarian. I'm going against the grain, right? So I was like, okay, that's the ban list. It's created this really interesting relationship because, as many people know, the Magic Online Vintage Cube gets updated regularly. So,
Even more than it ever has. It used to be like
yeah.
once a year, and now it's like every 3 months or something.
Oh, yeah. They dropped the bomb on me a few months back about, hey, we're going to update the Vintage Cube more. And I'm like, oh, man, yeah, it's this delicate dance, this mating ritual of, cards that they cut and cards that they add and, sets that they're waiting to update till and stuff like that. So, and it's also really cool to see what's not in the Magic Online Vintage Cube because there's some crazy stuff.
So what was the inspiration behind this cube? Did you like, because I know that your brother has a vintage cube. Did you say, I don't want to play vintage cube anymore, and so I'm going to build this? Or what made you want to build this?
It was nothing out of like spite or anything. I think it was I enjoy Vintage Cube a lot. I have my pet cards that I love and I think are awesome. I just think the Vintage Cube is such an established thing. I kind of wanted to go in my own direction, but keep it pretty magic. So I wanted to capture the identity of magic without caving to, oh, I'm only going to use these such a many sets or block or whatever, or a particular format, right? So you could do all kinds of stuff with this cube. So it's very vanilla from a design and mechanical standpoint, but the flavor is a little different because there's these things injected into it.
Yeah, I think it's so fun when there's a cube that has such a heavy restriction, because then when you're looking at a pack or when you're drafting the cube, you have something else to think about the whole time. Whether it be on a previous episode, we were talking with Connor about his Strictly Worse cube,
Oh
like
yeah,
thinking
yep,
about, oh, what is this card strictly worse than?
yeah,
Or like a peasant cube when you're like, oh, look at this is a really strong uncommon. With the Contrarian cube, the whole time you're thinking, I can't believe this is not in the vintage cube. It's so strong. Or why aren't they playing this? Or
yeah. Especially because they're kind of rotating different archetypes out of the cube. Like currently, it's crazy, but like Kiki Jiki is not in the vintage cube
really, wow.
as
I
of right
haven't done
now.
as much vintage cubes draft over the last few months or so. I haven't seen the big changes.
Yeah, so there's a little strangeness too. I'm like, I've always said, why don't they run Wilt, which is destroy an artifact or an enchantment for one and a green instant, and it has cycling for two generic. I think that's a great card. They run Disenchant, and I think they run Nature's Chant now too, which is the hybrid one, which is
Strictly
it's
better.
it's great, but I think the option to cycle it is pretty sweet also. So I run Wilt in mine, and it's great. Worst case scenario, it's a clue,
Yeah.
right? So it's there's just random crazy cards too that are like it kind of makes sense. Like Cyclonic Rift is not in the Vintage Cube, for
I have that in
example.
my band cube. It's so good.
Yeah, it's great. There's always going to be things that are like, oh man, they're never going to cut that. It depends.
Yeah, and I've definitely been a long time Vintage Cube Magic Online enjoyer, watching LSV or Paul Cheon doing Vintage Cube drafts. So whenever I walk into a Vintage Cube, that's the first thing that I think of. So this cube
Mm,
is really fun to play because everything is turned on its head. It's the exact opposite, basically. And
yeah.
so how did you go about designing this cube? Did you try to replicate the Magic Online Vintage Cube archetypes or higher power feeling, or did you try and keep that kind of vibe or experience, or did you try and go completely off?
I kind of came at it from two different angles. The first angle was I wanted it to be playable as soon as possible. So I kind of just took the cards that I had and started there and, like I said, pruned away at different things until it started to develop an identity. I looked at the Magic Online Vintage Cube. I looked at Cube Cobra has the like most played cards in cubes list.
Yeah.
And I kind of compared that data to be like, they don't run Supreme Verdict. That's interesting. Like a lot of cubes do. So I tried to keep it pretty straightforward. A big thing right now is there's some talismans are in the Magic Online Vintage Cube and some are not.
Oh,
So I can run the red green talisman, the green white talisman, the black white talisman, the black green talisman, and that's it. So the rest I
Weird.
filled in with signets. So I have 5 and 5. And
Very cool.
I think the fixing is pretty good so far. I also came from the standpoint of I wanted it to be high power. I was looking for powerful stuff, modern stuff, like things that have been movers and shakers, as it were, in Cube, in Commander, in Constructed. Something that I caught on to pretty early at my brother's recommendation, partially, was he said, "Hey, you should make it a snow cube because there's a lot of high power stuff. Like I can't run Baleful Strix, but I can run,
Ice Fan Codal.
Ice Fang Coatl." So there you go. And that pretty quickly I was like, oh yeah, I'm on board. So there's kind
Definitely.
of always been a couple different snow archetypes in here, but it's not like all snow. I mean, I have normal Magic the Gathering stuff. Like
Yeah,
white
that's what I
builds
was
up a
curious
board of
about.
huge creatures, blue counters spells and bounces things, black sacrifices creatures and makes your opponent discard cards and kills anything that your opponent tries to throw at you. Red deals direct damage. Green ramps into huge threats. It's what the colors do.
That's something I was curious about. So, because you're not including cards from Magic Online, there are still plenty of well-known cube staples. Were you trying to keep it at a surface level cards that most people recognize, or try to go really deep and find weirdo cards that people haven't seen before?
So as I started adding cards and play testing bit by bit, I noticed that the cube had some like standout cards, and I kind of wanted to augment what those cards do. Like obviously, Arkham's Astrolabe is a card with every basic being a snow basic. That becomes a very powerful card. And jokingly, I'm like, oh yeah, that's one of the power pieces of this cube. That stuck out to me very early on. I wanted to supplement what I saw. So I saw there were a lot of pretty cool, like, I don't know how it happened, but I just kept adding goblins.
Yeah,
I just kept adding goblins to the cube. So I eventually was like, what can I do with that? So I was like, okay, looking at it. Oh, Goblin Recruiter. That would be pretty cool. That's a way to get a lot of goblins stacked on top of your deck, and then you draw into them. So you keep drawing gas once you're there. Legion War Boss, he makes a lot of goblins.
that card's great.
Squee, Dubious Monarch, makes a lot of goblins. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, there's a goblin thing going on.
And
And I
then there's
thought it
some
was
big
fun.
goblin bombs too, like Muxus.
Yeah, Muxus, yeah. And now I got Kiki Jiki, Siege Gang Commander. It's fun. And I'm like, oh, hey, I needed another burn spell, so I'll throw Tarfire in there too.
It's great
You
for
know,
delirium too.
yeah, that kind of fills two roles exactly. So as it kept going, I started to feel out the identity of where I wanted the colors to be. There's always kind of been a lands archetype. I had Scape Shift in the original list. They added it into the Vintage Cube and they recently just took it out.
Well, that's
So
exciting.
welcome back, Scape Shift. Welcome back, Valakut. They did keep Field of the Dead, though, so that's a loss. I had that before because they were kind of sleeping on that card.
Field of Dead's just broken.
Yeah, that time period was crazy. You would splash all these off-color lands just to hit those different names and
Yes.
just go nuts with the zombies.
Yeah, it's cool how you were
Yeah,
saying before that you built the cube from just cards you had lying around and then you built it from there. I think
yeah,
there's a couple ways you could build a cube when you're building it from scratch. Like you can go from, oh, what do I have and go from there. Or you
mm,
can go from the high level of, I'm going to build a list of cards that I may not have and then expand upon it and then buy the cards from there. I
right.
usually go the route of, oh, what do I have lying around? Let's test it out, see if the concept is fun, and then I'll update it from that point. Because I have been playing for a long time, just like you. I just have a lot of random bulk lying around.
Yeah, it's the whole idea of are you building from the bottom up or from the top down, right? So if I'm like, I want to make a cons block cube, I'm gonna grab that pool of cards and narrow it down. So that's a very top down. This is what I want it to be as a finished product sort of thing. But this kind of started out as just, I want to make a cube. I got cards. Oh, hey, I can do this funny stipulation, and oh hey, I can make it a snow cube, and oh hey, I can supplement these sort of things that I'm seeing. Like I had various different like enchantress pieces, and those went into the cube at different times. It's just kind of crazy how like I felt early on that this cube had a robust identity that was not something that was hard to sell to people. You know what I mean? Like getting people to draft this is pretty easy,
Oh, it's got a
which
great hook.
it's a magic cube and it's not your grandma's vintage cube, I guess would be my
And it's not a
hook.
Pokemon cube.
That's true. It's also not a Pokemon cube.
And tell me about some of the archetypes that you have in the cube. Like, there are definitely some really strong power outliers that you have
Yeah,
in this cube that are surprisingly not in the vintage cube. Like, I was looking at cards like Opposition. That's crazy that's not in there anymore. Treasure
yeah,
Cruise. They cut all the swords, like the
yeah.
swords of X and Y.
There's a lot of swords that they cut. So I think the archetypes that I'm most proud of, definitely the snow deck is pretty straightforward. I just think it's sweet.
Yeah,
There's like a black white control deck with a lot of removal and a lot of board wipes. And usually you're going to be ending your curve with probably a big planeswalker like Liliana Dreadhorde General or Elspeth Sun's Champion just to finish off the game, or even a big creature like Elish Norn Grand Cenobite or Shieldred Whispering One. So those are some pretty sweet top end cards to just say, all right, I'm going to close this game out now. That one's felt really good. Blue Black has a lot of gain control effects, a lot of late game stuff for the same reason. So there's a big mid range identity to those.
there are
Um,
some big blue bombs. Like I'm seeing like, Agent of Treachery here,
yep,
Icebreaker Kraken, one of my favorite cards ever, which I
yeah.
love. Which you or Eric either introduced me to Ethereal Forager. Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a pet card of mine.
If people don't know what that one is, it's four blue blue and it has Delve for a 3/3 flying. And whenever it attacks, you can return an instant or sorcery card, exile with Ethereal Forager to your hand. So one of my favorite things to do with it is put like counter spells and extra turns under it. And then you just get to loop
Yep.
extra turns and
Oh
then
yeah,
it's so
and you
good.
can, you do a lot of cool stuff with that. You can just get a lot of value, and it's a decent body, obviously, and you can get it out before turn six with Delve.
If you can get out early, like a 2 mana 3/3, it's basically Delver of Secrets and it gives you
Yeah.
so much extra value,
Yep. Delver's in the cube also, by the way. It's which
which
is
is so
really
sweet.
funny. So that was a cool one. Definitely Goblins was one that stuck out to me. That's usually Jund. There's
I actually had a
Imperial
pretty similar
Recruiter.
I had a pretty similar experience to you with goblins that you were kind of just putting in goblins and you said, "Oh, I can make a goblin theme." My
Yeah,
Rakdos cube, I just had a bunch of good goblins in there because red and black has good goblins, and then somebody actually drafted a goblin deck, and I didn't even think about that. And they went 2-1, and I said, "Oh, I gotta support this. This is like a real thing." So that's I think goblins
that's kind of where it
sometimes like
started. Yeah.
elves can just like accidentally happen.
Yeah, there's like I would say there's definitely accidental tribal in this cube. Like there's a lot of green elves that are pretty good. I mean,
Like
Arbor
Siege
Elf,
Gang Command was
Jiraga,
just an
Jiraga
amazing
Tree
card.
Speaker, great cards on their own. You throw in an Imperious Perfect and it's like, okay, now we're cooking, now we're doing something.
Yeah. Imperious
Uh,
Perfect is an insane card. Just every turn get a 2/2 basically. If
yep,
you don't answer that, you're
it's
losing.
crazy. Yeah, it's hard to catch up to that value. There's a lot of cards with black mana pips. I was like, oh, I can throw in Grey Merchant of Asphodel
Yeah.
and cards like Pestilence and cards like Necrotal,
And you have
cards
Cabal
like,
Coffers in here.
yep, Nighthawk Scavenger, Murderous Rider. That Grey Merchant's going to be pretty deadly pretty fast. Oubliette, Phyrexian Arena. These are all cards that can just say, I'm doing something great on my own, but throw in the fact that my devotion to black is now 10 and the game is over.
Yeah. It's really cool that the snow kind of goes across many different colors. Like
Hmm.
black gets two really powerful board wipes with Dead of Winter, Blood on the Snow. Those are
Yep.
insane cards, but because the Magic Online Vintage Cube, I don't think they want to go through the headache. I don't even know if it's possible for them to give you snow basics at the end. That might just not be something that Magic
Yeah.
Online is
Yeah,
capable
I
of
don't know.
doing.
Yeah, that would be something to find out, I guess. I'm not sure, but it is interesting that like by just tweaking that little bit, it changes so many things. I think the only color that doesn't really do anything with snow is red. Even red, I tried Scred
I was
and
gonna
it
say,
was
where's Scred?
it's okay. People were taking lightning strike over it.
Oh,
So I kind of just went with what the people said on that one. And I was like, okay, I don't need to run Scred. It's not really that crazy of a card. It's more of a constructed card. Even so, white has On Thin Ice, which is like the premier white removal spell in this cube. That's a big area where it's lacking is cheap white removal. They run all of it in the vintage cube.
yeah, that's something I wanted to ask you more about. So, with this cube having such an intense restriction of not being able to run basically the most efficient cards in Magic, are there any types of cards or card types that you have trouble finding replacements for? Like you just said, white removal,
Oh
or
yeah.
I was
Yeah,
looking like there
like
aren't a lot of blue cantrips that are very good.
yeah, it's like pretty much Portent, Serum Visions, and Opt. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like definitely good reanimation spells are hard to get. I mean, I have Victimize, Profane Command, Dread Return. I have some, but they're not great. The Eldest Reborn, which is a sweet card.
But
But
nothing like below 3 mana because if
right,
that
yeah.
exists, they're going to throw it in the
I'm not
vintage
gonna
cube.
have Shallow Grave. I'm not gonna have Exhume. I'm not gonna have Reanimate, obviously. So it's stuff like that. Red doesn't have Lightning Bolt, so I've kind of had to work my way around that. I run two shocks. I run Play with Fire and Tar Fire, which both feel great. A lot of lightning strikes. I have Searing Spear, Lightning Strike, Incinerate, Magma Jet, Punishing
Goblin
Fire,
Grenade.
Goblin Grenade is just, you know what? There's so many goblins in red, you might as well. You're probably going to have a goblin out when you want to play it. So that's like my fire blast, quote unquote. That's
Yeah.
my, finisher burn spell.
And that's super cool. And with Magic, there are some effects that they can print as many insane versions of it, and it's not a big deal. Like they can print 1,000 different 7 mana green win the game creatures.
Right,
They can print 20 different black removal spells in the
right.
same set. But things like 2 mana or 1 mana counter spells or
Oh,
highly
yeah.
efficient interaction, that they have to be a lot more careful with because things like that are what replace older cards compared to just broken green big creatures.
I definitely think good counter magic is hard to come by. The best ones, from what I've seen, Arcane Denial's ability to just give you a card to replace it, Censor's ability to cycle itself, Supreme Will's other mode to give you a card again, have really shown that they're decent. They're not exceptional. A card that I think it's crazy that they're not running in the Vintage Cube is Sink into Stupor. I think that card is really good. It's a modal double faced card. The front side is one blue and a blue for an instant. Return a spell or a non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. It's an unsubstantiate. It returns a spell or it just bounces a non-land permanent. And the backside is a land. You can have it come out untapped if you pay 3 life and it taps for a blue.
Yeah, this one sees a lot of modern play. It's in like the
Yeah,
mono blue Belcher deck and control decks. I'm surprised it's not in the vintage cube. Like
yeah.
to me,
Because
it
worst
feels like it's
case, it's
better
a
than
land.
Otawara.
Oh yeah, it's a land worst case scenario, so it's never a dead draw, if you're looking for anything in particular. It is a pretty new card. I think they'll probably come around to it. That's kind of where the counter magic situation is. It's, soft counters, I guess you would say, counter unless you pay, whatever. I do have Disallow, which has just been 3 mana counter spell, no questions asked. It can get
So
some
I've
some
never seen it
cheeky
counter an ability or
activated
anything.
abilities.
I've
Yeah,
never seen it happen.
yeah, I think the craziest thing it could probably do, you can counter a Valakut trigger.
Ooh,
I think that's a pretty funny one.
you can also
Or,
counter like a planeswalker like ultimate, which is I've
yeah,
seen that happen before, and
yep.
it can be pretty tilting when that happens.
Yeah, that's really good if you want to mess up your opponent's Sahili Cat combo,
Yes, my
you know?
favorite combo, the
Yep,
only modern deck that I ever did well with.
nice. Oh yeah, so if that's to your heart's desire, you can get a birthing pod for your troubles too in this cube. So
Yes. And are there any like types of decks or archetypes that are especially difficult to support because the Magic Online cube takes so many of the important archetype role players for that archetype?
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard control and reanimator are really tough. So I've
I
kind
see
of
that.
had to adjust blue and black's identity respectively. White is always going to do white stuff with a lot of creatures and some decent removal and good finishers. I think green is one of the best colors in the cube just because there's so many cards. Like you said, green does what green does.
It's hard to nerf green. There's just 10,000 mana dorks and
Something I haven't had trouble with is finding planeswalkers that fit good roles. I think I really like the planeswalkers that are in the cube currently. Even a card like Angrath, the Flame Chained, I really like that card as a red black finisher.
yeah, he's sweet. I remember when he saw play in Ixalan Standard.
I think it's a cool card. The biggest thing that it's tough to find replacements for, not really in terms of a particular deck, is good lands.
Yep, that's something we're gonna get into. So let's get into it now. Tell me about the fixing in this cube.
So the fixing is kind of the leftovers of what the Moto Vintage Cube has. So I have broken cycles all throughout. I have the snow dual lands, the ones that come in tapped and have the basic land types
Which is important for this cube.
in the appropriate colors. So you won't see one in like black, white doesn't have one.
Mm.
Then I have a broken cycle of the check lands like Glacial Fortress.
Yeah, tell us what you mean by broken cycle. I think that's something that a lot of cube owners don't do, and I think it's such a cool thing that more cubes should be doing.
Right. So a lot of magic cards come in cycles of 5 or cycles of 10, or it can be even more, like mega cycles, they'll say, like the swords are a great example. A lot of times we're humans, we like to organize things. So we like to group things as, oh, I'm going to do all of this group all at once in terms of adding this to the cube. So I'm going to add all the shock lands, or I'm going to add all the fetch lands, or whatever. But even the Magic Online Vintage Cube has been doing is picking and choosing which particular color pairs get certain things. Like they run the filter lands that filter for double blue because of the ubiquity of Counterspell and Mana Drain. So that's an interesting thing that I kind of tapped into. Like I have Mystic Gate, which is the white blue filter land in
Really, that's not in the
because
Magic Online Vintage Cube. Wow.
yeah, there's a lot of double blue and double white, and there's a lot of double black. So I have Graven Cairns too, and Fetid Heath. That's ways to fill that in. They recently kind of upgraded the creature land cycle with Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So I've added quite a few of those because worst case, it's a land that can also be a threat.
Those
So
are really strong from the new set,
yeah,
like
I
Restless
really
Prairie, the
like
Llama Land.
yeah, I like the llama one. I like Restless Reef. Making a 4/4 with Death Touch is kind of scary. You get a mill trigger off that one. The food one is the green black one, right? The Restless Cottage.
Hmm.
That one's really good too.
And the Restless Vinestock just kills people.
Oh yeah, that one's crazy. It's just like, you know what? I'm gonna make a 5/5 with trample and, also make my other random mana elves or whatever into threats.
Or you can turn your opponent's creature into a 3/3 so don't have a good block.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of strategy there, so there's a lot of cool stuff. I like where the cycles are at now. I have, depending on the colors, I have the snow duels, I have check lands, I have filter lands, I have the creature lands that do the most work. I have some temples or scry lands. I have the bicycle lands where they're appropriate. Like I think the blue black bicycle land and the green white bicycle land get a lot of value because it's just another way to draw cards. Some of the OG pain lands, like Underground River and Carplucent Forest. And then I get to the really interesting stuff, I think, which are the utility lands. They run a lot of the good utility lands.
Yeah. Like it's interesting that you have Cabal Coppers, but not Urborg. Is Urborg in there?
I believe it is. So that's one that I just sadly can't have.
But you have
So
Scrying Sheets, which is super cool.
yeah, Scrying Sheets is pretty sweet. Ash Barrens is pretty sweet. There's a card.
City of Ass.
Yeah, there's that card, which I think more cubes should run. I'm gonna go to bat for City of Ass because
And just
it
so
gets you,
people know, we're not making a joke on City of Brass. It's actually called City of Ass. Look it up.
yeah, the unhinged card, and it's incredible because it's a five color tap land. And
One and a
if
half
you,
mana if you can copy it.
oh yeah, you can do some funny stuff if you can find a way to untap it or whatever. You can do
Or you
some
can
cool
play like what's
stuff.
that card? Little Girl, which is a half mana.
Yeah, yeah. There's like some other ways. Like if you find a way to untap it, you get three mana of one color. On a house rule, if you have a hybrid card, you can put a half of mana of the one color into it and a half mana of the other color.
Oh,
Just in case it comes up, I will say, yeah, that's fine.
that's so
City of
fun.
City of Brass itself is a great one. That's a five color land.
I'm surprised that's not in there.
Yeah, they run Mana Confluence. I think it's just been reprinted more recently, so they're like getting the commander people to just say, "Hey, it's here." I have
Another one that's so
Terramorphic and Evolving
unappreciated is
Wilds too.
Reflecting Pool. Reflecting Pool is just great.
Oh yeah, I like Reflecting Pool a lot. I
It's
I picked
awkward on
that one
turn
good.
one, but otherwise it's great.
Yeah, Ash Barrens and Reflecting Pool are kind of similar vibe, I think. Ash Barrens can fix you. Reflecting Pool can give you that double pip when you need it. Field of Ruin's been all right. It's just a way to deal with if your opponent has a land, like if they're splashing something and they have an off-color duel or something, you can just get rid of it.
Or if they have a really strong utility land like Blast Zone in your creature deck.
Oh yeah, or any of the creature lands, you can say, "Hey, I'm going to remove that."
Oh, they're so good against creature lands.
Nykthos is really interesting, especially with the fact that there is a Cabal Coffers is already in, and there's a Black Devotion deck. So that can be like your second Cabal Coffers in a lot of ways.
I have Cabal Coffers in the Rakdos Cube. It's so fun.
Oh
Also
yeah.
Valakut. Those are kind of like
Yeah,
the go
yeah.
into a monocolor lands. You have to
Yeah,
play
Valakut's
monocolor right
crazy.
now.
Yeah, I like Valakut. I'm trying Den of the Bugbear. I'm not completely sold on it.
That
I
card's
think
really
it's
strong.
I think it's pretty good. Volrath's Stronghold has been in the cube for a long time.
I can't believe it's
They
not on the Magic Online one too. It's so strong.
they added it in for a little while and then they cut it again. I think it's good with, any type of sacrifice or anything like that. You can basically bounce a creature
My
and get
favorite
it
thing to do
again.
with it is to have a creature with Miracle. Like Triumph of Saint Catherine is
Oh
so
yeah.
good with it. Or there's also, I think it's Metamorphosis of Angel from the new set, which is the 6 mana 4/4 lifelink that reanimates something
Yeah, that
or
card's
it has
sweet.
Miracle. That card is crazy. Is
That's
that
on
in the Magic
my
Online Vintage
that's
Cube?
on my list of cards I might add. I
That
think
card's
that card's awesome.
crazy.
Yep.
I got one for Rakdos Cube, so strong.
I like Kelderin Outpost. That's a deep cut old land, but being able to just make tokens every turn.
If people
Well,
don't know what that one is, I
oh
have to
yeah,
look at it again.
definitely not. Yeah,
What is that from?
it's a
Stronghold?
land that alliances.
Alliance as well.
So that is a card where it comes out untapped, first of all. When it comes out, you sacrifice a plains or sacrifice it. So it does put you a turn behind on a land drop, but it taps for white, and you can pay one and a white and tap it to make a 1/1 soldier. And that can get out of hand pretty quick.
That's pretty
Um,
on rate. I
if
mean,
you're
there
making a
was the
soldier every
castle, the white
turn, yeah,
castle that costs 4 to make a soldier.
right. So I think this is a slept on card.
And one thing that I really wanted to get into with this is how you update this cube. Because, like we mentioned earlier, every 3 months now or so, they're updating the Magic Online Vintage Cube. Ever since Daybreak Games took over, they're really
Yeah.
paying a lot more attention to it. So, do you wait whenever there's a new standard set to see what they're going to put into the Vintage Cube first? Or do you just say, I'm going to put in whatever I want, and if I have to cut it, I have to cut it? Or if there
Yeah.
are like weaker cards that you think, they never put this in the Vintage Cube, what's the worry?
Yeah, so the best case scenario is I see a card that's just like a side grade or a slight upgrade to a card I already have that they would never add to the Moto Vintage Cube, and I just slam dunk it. You
Like, give
know,
me some examples of that.
like Wilt was one where I pretty convinced they weren't going to add it and they didn't, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. In terms of recency, I do try to wait a little bit when a new set comes out. A card that I knew that I wanted immediately just because I think it's really cool is Luminous Broodmoth.
That card's so cool in
Yep.
Aristocrats.
Yeah, it's like whenever a creature you control dies, if it didn't have flying, you return it with a flying counter. So it's just another way to get value out of your creatures that you manage to land on the board.
And you definitely sport aristocrats in here.
Yeah, yep. There's some sacrifice. There's, I believe, Blood Artist itself. There's sacrifice and token production to be had. Another card I definitely think I wanted was Breathe Your Last. It's a common from MH3, which is crazy. It's a one black black instant. Destroy target creature, planeswalker. You gain a life for each of its colors.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So it's just a hero's downfall that also gains you life. Like that's a strict upgrade because hero's downfall was already in this cube.
Wow, it's
You know,
how
that's
Hero's downfall has fallen. It's amazing.
yeah, what a downfall. I got
Yes.
really psyched when Feed the Swarm came out because I was like black enchantment removal and also creature removal that's pretty efficient. Sign me up.
There's some strong enchantments in here, especially in blue, like opposition, control magic effects.
Yeah,
Definitely.
they cut opposition. I was shocked. I was like, wow, that's a powerful card. So I
Yes.
said, how can I get my hands on one? And I got my hands on a very played foil.
Ooh,
So I'm psyched about that. It's an Urza's Destiny foil. I'm psyched about that.
that's dope.
Yeah, I just think that's awesome.
And one thing that you do in this cube that I think is really cool is kind of future-proof yourself. Like there are some effects that they don't tend to put into the Magic Online cube. For example, snow, like we already mentioned, but also they don't put a lot of monarch cards. So putting in like Court of Grace is really cool. You could
Yeah,
also put in like initiative cards. They've tended taken out a lot of the initiative cards.
yeah, if a mechanic is seen as like bad PR for the game, right? They tend to stay away from it. Like, I think a spicy card is Noxious Revival. The one
Yeah.
Phyrexian green, put a card from your graveyard on top of your library. I just think that's an effect that you can put that in an off-color deck and that'll do great. Um,
Another one is like Sprout Swarm. They don't, that's just a Magic Online nightmare. You have to
yeah, they wouldn't.
constantly tap all your stuff, press the
Exactly. They
buyback.
wouldn't touch Sprout Swarm with a 10-foot pole. Exactly. So that's one of the great things is or like playtest cards. I have Growth Charm in here.
I
I
love Growth
love Growth
Charm.
Charm. It's so cool.
Tell us what that one does.
So that is one a green and a green instant. First of all, it's an instant regrowth effect. And it's choose one, rampant growth, giant growth, or regrowth. I've definitely seen regrowth and rampant growth more than giant growth, but
Hey, sometimes you just need to kill them.
I did die to a growth charm for lethal on a like a flyer.
That's
I
so
think it was
sick.
I think it was in a green white deck. Somebody had it like an angel and just put in that last bit of damage with it. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Green
So,
actually has a lot. Oath of Nissa. I want to talk about Oath of Nissa because of the
ooh,
crazy stuff that you can do with that. Like I've seen people go hard with Oath of Nissa and make like a Super Friends deck with it, and it's pretty sweet. It's 4 to 5 color Super Friends with
yeah, it lets you
Saheeli Cat.
cast
You
planeswalkers as though
know,
they were any color. I remember there was a modern deck years ago that was playing Saheeli Cat and Oath of Nissa. I think Corey Baumeister made that deck popular, and
yeah,
that deck I always wanted to play it, and I did. It was so fun.
that's really cool. I think that's just one of those things where else but Cube, right? That's one of those things.
And also like the curses. I feel like they're so underappreciated. Like Curse of
Oh,
Predation always just
yep.
way overperforms. Same with Curse of Shallow Grave.
Yeah, I think both of those cards are really hard to deal with. I think unless you have exactly enchantment removal or non-land permanent removal, you're gonna like get outpaced by your opponent just from the value that those cards create. I definitely think it's one of those incremental cards that gets better and better as the game goes on. It's like another card in this cube, Shrine of Burning Rage.
I can't believe that's not in the Magic Online anymore.
It gets, it just ups the ante a little bit every turn as it goes on. I think the pace of this cube, it's a little bit slower than, your vintage cube. There's not really going to be a turn one win in this cube. I don't really think that's possible because there's less fast mana and the cards individually are a lot more fair. But I think you have time to do some of that cool stuff.
And one thing that's really interesting about this cube that I haven't really seen with any other cube is as a designer, the emotional aspect. Any other cube, you can choose what you want to put in. The peasant cube, I'm going to put it in commons and uncommons. Sometimes you get the excitement of, oh, they downshifted a card. I can put it in now. But for
Yep.
this cube, you actually have cards that get taken away from you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting thing where I see that the Magic Online Vintage Cube has been updated and my hands start sweating because it's like,
It's like a
what
ban
did
and
they,
restricted announcement for you.
yeah, what did they take from me? What did they do? I think the biggest single loss was one update when they added the Horizon lands.
Oh,
And I had previously been running them. I picked them up anyways because they're great to have for Commander and for everything. And they said, yep, we're adding all of them later. And that was a huge loss. That update, I think I lost 17 cards in that one
wow.
update. So that was bad. That was might have been the single worst update when they added that would have been the MH1 update. That was bad.
So tell me, like, do you add cards from a new set that you assume to be too weak because you don't think they will be added to the vintage cube?
I usually try to give it some time, but there's cards I know they're not going to add, and there's cards I know they probably will try out and then probably cut. So I tend to wait on a new set. Like, I haven't really looked at foundations yet for this cube. I have some ideas.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about Foundation. That's something I wanted to ask you about.
So, really quickly, I have the spoiler up. I'm just looking at Helpful Hunter's kind of cute as just a white elvish visionary.
Yeah, tell
Uh,
us about that one. Which one is that?
it's a cute cat and it has a bird feather in its mouth and it's one and a white for a 1/1. When it enters, you draw a card.
All I know how to do is blink. So
Yeah,
for me, that's my perfect card.
yeah, you're sold. You're sold already. I like Joust Through. I think that's cool. It's a one white instant. Joust Through deals three to target attacking or blocking creature, and you gain a life.
That card is so great for my Bolt Cube because
Yeah,
the game one life actually matters a lot when you start at 3 life.
there you go. And it's another way for white to deal with some creatures on turn one. Theoretically, it's probably not going to happen on turn one, but for 1 mana, no matter what.
And I doubt either
Um,
of those cards would get included because, like we said, those aren't as efficient as some of the forever
right.
cards like
Oh,
Swords
yeah.
to Plowshares.
Yeah. I like Refute. I think Refute is a good card. That's 1 and 2 blue for an instant, counters a spell, and then you loot, drawing a card and discarding
That
a
one's
card.
great. That one might be
I
better than Disallow.
I think that's great. The fact that it's approaching that, cryptic command level of counter draw card is pretty crazy.
And you don't get Cryptic Command, but you get Very Cryptic Command.
I will vouch for the one version of Very Cryptic Command, the one that counters a black bordered spell, returns a creature to its owner's hand, untaps a permanent, each permanent you control with a watermark, and roll two six-sided dice. Target player mills that many cards.
Which is a win con.
Yeah, so that's 49E. Very Cryptic Command is a card I recommend if you're not trying to, I don't know, not trying to shell out for a cryptic, I guess, or just do something funny.
So funny that it had multiple versions.
Yeah,
So
that's a great
unique.
one. I think it's smart for me to wait a little bit before adding stuff immediately, just in case I get blown out by like, they added this card and I just bought, a set foil or whatever.
And so tell me about some of your favorite decks or combinations of cards that you've seen drafted in this cube. Like, what is your personal favorite deck to play or your favorite decks that you've seen?
I really like the Jank Goblin combo deck, which usually consists of Murderous Redcap, a
Persist
sack,
combo,
a sack outlet, and a way to have it re-enter with a plus and plus one counter.
Grumgully.
Yep, Grumgully. Or if you're really desperate, you have Good Fortune Unicorn,
Ooh, yeah.
um, which
Bringing me my peasant cube right here. I love it.
it doesn't seem unfair. I do have some 2 card combos in here, but having a 3 card combo that you can also build just another deck around, you don't have to be completely devoted to it. Is kind of where I want to be.
Creatures with
Uh,
persist, I think, are just some of the most fun synergy pieces because there's so much shenanigans you can do with it, even if you're not comboing, like something
oh yeah,
like combining it with Halana and Elena partners that can put more counters on it. So it's
Yeah.
like you get a blocker every turn. There's just so many cool synergies with them.
Yeah, like I have Fabro Elder and Bloom Tender with Freed from the Real to get
Yeah.
infinite mana of green and green white. So that's pretty cool. You can do some stuff with that. Although green and green white don't really have like fireballs or anything like that, but you can get some funny value out of it.
Some of my favorite things that I've seen in this cube is unappreciated card, probably because it's completely broken in half, Arcane Savant.
Oh yeah, that card is
Ooh,
really good.
oh, so good. When you put an extra turn on, is there no extra turns in the cube right now?
Listen, we had to put an end to the amount of people that were drafting Crystal Shard, Arcane Savant, and
Oh,
Temporal
it's my
Manipulation.
favorite.
It was really, really good.
Oh, Arcane Savant, when I had my old Legacy cube, was by far the best thing to be doing. That exact combo is it's
Yeah.
unbeatable.
Yep. Taking infinite turns is pretty crazy. I think my favorite thing to do with Arcane Savant right now is probably put Inevitable Betrayal on it.
Ooh,
Bribery on a creature is pretty sweet because you can
yes.
blink it.
Yes. That's so good.
imagine imagine if they made bribery on a creature. Come on. I don't think they would, honestly. I don't think they would except in like an Eternal or maybe just a Commander legal set, a Commander Vintage Legacy legal set. I don't think they would play any newer formats with that.
And another one of my favorite decks in here is the snow deck, like Merit Lage's Slumber. When you get when you get 10 or more snow permanents, you get Merit Lage. Or
Oh yeah.
another one that's so fun is the Isu the Abominable that lets you play snow lands and cast snow spells from the top. That card's broken.
Yeah, the snow deck is all about just generating value based off of things being snow. It's not like a snow creatures you control get +1/+1 type of deck. It's more like I'm going to outpace you because my cards have an internal synergy with them. So it's pretty sweet when it all comes together with Icebreaker Kraken or Merit Lage delivering the blow to somebody.
Yeah, and let's jump into a pack one, pick one. Let's see this pack here.
Yep,
I'll read it out. We got Restless Anchorage, which is the blue-white manland, which when it attacks, you get a map. We
yep.
got Whisperwood Elemental, which brings me back. I mean, that card is so powerful. It
Yeah,
used
that
to
card's
be
really good.
one of the best green creatures of all time. So
Yeah,
to see it cut just shows how much power creep we get. We have Sulphurous Mire, which is the black-red snowland, enters tapped. Gets Ungiven, which is really interesting.
yep.
We do have the combo in here I saw with Unburial Rights. So Gifts Ungiven, Unburial Rights. Now you're cooking.
There you go.
We have Wooded Bastion, which is the green-white filter land. So you can pay green or white, and you can get green, 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 white, or white, white out. Draugr Necromancer, which is really strong. I mean, it's kind of like the Snow Dothy Voidwalker, which is really powerful.
Yep.
Then we have Restless Vinestock, like we said, the blue-green manland, Temple of Enlightenment, blue-white Scryland, Sun Titan, Cube Staple, Cabal
Definitely.
Coffers, which is the black land that doesn't actually tap for mana, but you can pay two and get a black for each swamp you control. Then we have Talisman of Impulse, the green-red talisman, blue-green Signet, Simic Signet, Deranged Hermit, which one of my favorites just because you get four squirrels. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
strong.
it's great.
Blinken Deranged Hermit. Oh, that's all I want to do.
Yep.
And then we got Murderous Rider, which is the adventure, which is the hero's downfall that you lose two life.
Yep.
And it's also the 2/3 life linker. And then Fate's Fetter, which turns off a permanent and gains you four life. So it's a pretty interesting pack here. I wouldn't say that there's any big power outliers, but there are some strong cards in here.
Yeah, I would say this is not like a extremely high power pack for this cube, but I think there's some pretty cool directions to go. I think you can always take mana fixing. You can be an adult and say, I'm going to take the Signet or the Talisman or one
Signets
of
are
the
just so
lands.
strong.
Yeah, I think Gifts is great. I have been really impressed with Murderous Rider. I think the card is just a lot of value.
It's a kill
Um,
spell that just gums up the ground and gains you life against aggro. It's great.
Yeah, black has a lot of creatures like that Nighthawk Scavenger, cards that are just annoying to deal with. Rankle, they're just annoying to deal with. Faith's Fetters will shut off a permanent, no questions asked, can shut off a planeswalker. of note. So I think Faith Fetters is good. Sun Titan strong
Hmm.
and Whispered Wood Elemental strong. So if this were me picking, oh man, I think I'm torn between the Talisman, the Signet, probably Gifts Ungiven just for the card advantage. That's just my style. I will definitely say Deranged Hermit and Whisperwood Elemental if you want to go mono green and just go to town. That's a great way to start.
I'm just staring at this Sun Titan.
Yeah, I like Sun Titan a lot. Sun Titan could do some cool stuff.
Combine it with a fetch land effect, get
Yeah,
back your big creatures, you blink it. Oh, such a good card.
yep,
And it's also just 6/6 vigilance. And this
yeah,
cube, sure, it's powerful, but you're not going to die turn two. You got time to get out of Sun Titan.
yep, you got time. I want to give some credit to Draugr Necromancer though, because it also allows you to cast the cards that it exiles using snow mana to cast it. So if you're in on snow already, you can get into that I'm going to steal my opponent's stuff kind of mindset.
Yeah, Sultai Snow seems really powerful.
Yeah, I would agree.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, it's been awesome having you on the podcast. I definitely want to have you on in the future. You have some really interesting things to say, and I want to have you on to talk about Pokemon Cube at some point, which will be fun.
Yeah, that's a whole other realm. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. If you're driving to work, have a good work day, or if you're doing something else, enjoy your night and please subscribe and stay tuned for more episodes. And I hope you have a great day.